As we've been hearing, a cabinet shuffle is imminent, and we had heard it might be happening in the next little while. And now Trudeau, as we speak, evidently is meeting with ministers. And the announcements have been coming in, like I mentioned before the break. Carolyn Bennett, Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, has decided she will not run again, so that opens up one seat. What else is going to happen? Is there a spot for the newly elected Anna Gainey in Westmount NDG? She seems pretty new, and yet the rumors are that she might well get a cabinet posting. David HEURTEL is our political insider and analyst. He is a former Quebec Liberal cabinet minister, counsel at Fasken, and it's always an absolute pleasure to speak with you, David. Thanks for your time today.
Welcome back, Natasha.
Thank you. Right now, it feels like it just wasn't long enough.
It never is.
It never is. As happy as you are to be back at it, you're kind of like, wow, that went way too fast. And speaking of going way too fast, I mean, I think this is normally a rather sleepy time, and instead we're facing a cabinet shuffle. Before we kind of make some predictions here, because I think there's some fairly easy ones to predict, like Alghabra and Mendocino. Why is this happening right now, a summer cabinet shuffle?
Well, I think several reasons are in play here. I think Justin Trudeau wants to have his A team in place and ready to go when the calendar starts getting busy again, end of August, early September. It also gives the newer ministers, the people that will have new portfolios, time to learn their files, to get ready, have their staff in place. And also, it also gives Justin Trudeau the freedom to maybe call a fall election. I know as time goes by, that scenario has been let go more and more, but you never know. So I think he wants to have the A team ready to go for a fall election. And by doing this now, if there are some major moves and there are some controversial moves made and some people are unhappy and there's some media fallout, well, obviously doing it in the middle of July, most commentators are off, there's less media attention, people aren't paying as much attention, so there's also that to keep in mind.
Okay, so let's talk about who his liabilities are. If he's positioning himself to be, better placed for an election, be it this fall or in the, not too distant future, we know it'll be within the next 2 years. Who are his liabilities?
Well, you already mentioned them. Of course, Marco Mendocino at Public Security has had a very, very hard time with Paul Bernardo, with gun control. So he's obviously on the ejectable seat. Omar Alghabra, transport. If you look also the other people that maybe are not going to be ejected completely but may move, because we did get a sign of this, is that Ahmed Hussein, who's at Housing, and Jeanette Petitpas-Taylor at Official Languages had this week's announcement. They had announcements scheduled this week, and those were canceled. While Stephen Guilbeault, the Environment Minister, had an announcement today, and that was not canceled. So, and it was always a safe bet to see Guilbeault remain at the Environment. But Jeanette Petitpas-Taylor is interesting in the sense that it's not necessarily that she did not handle the Official Languages file in a completely unsatisfactory manner from the point of view of Justin Trudeau with C-13, but at the same time, if you're shuffling your cabinet before an election, you also want to look at what kind of issues might be on the table, especially in Quebec. Because Trudeau's going to be looking at Quebec, Ontario, and BC, right, to try to salvage his government come the next election. So what are going to be the issues in Quebec? Well, obviously language, whether you look at it from the English-speaking community's perspective or from the nationalist perspective, that could be an issue. So do you really want a Franco-Ontarian to be your point person on language? So that may come back to a Quebec minister. Also, other liabilities, you've talked about it with Aaron and Tom Mulcair. I mean, nobody's over the moon with Justice Minister David Lamette's performance either. And so he's a West Island MP. Anna Gainey, as you said, could get into cabinet, but I don't see her getting a major role. But at the same time, you have those stars in Quebec Jean-Yves Duclos from Quebec City had health. We're beyond the pandemic now. That's why he went to health. And so that could be, he could get more responsibilities. Pablo Rodriguez at Canadian Heritage has done a good job with the social network giants. And so you have also Mélanie Joly, who's at Foreign Affairs, Global Affairs, who could get a role. François-Philippe Champagne at the economy, because if you look at Quebec issues, it's going to be about language, immigration, and housing. Ahmed Hussein, who's at housing, doesn't speak a word of French.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
Sean Fraser, who's at immigration, doesn't speak a word of French. So I'm wondering, from a Quebec perspective, if you're going to see changes in those fields as well.
And let's, to be clear, I think we also have to be cognizant that gender and diversity are going to play a huge role in these appointments as well.
You're so right. And that's what's so difficult when you are picking cabinet, especially because diversity is so important for Justin Trudeau. So you want intergenerational diversity, you want gender diversity, you want also regional diversity, because again, for Justin Trudeau to be able to have a shot at maintaining government this time around, you're going to need his usual strength in the Atlantic provinces. He's going to have to maintain his strength. He still leads Quebec in terms of seats, but he's going to get a big challenge from the Bloc Québécois and the Conservatives this time around. So he wants to protect those 35 seats in Quebec. Of course, Ontario is the main battleground, and BC is going to be a huge battleground as well. So there's going to have he's going to have to be able to have all these bases covered, all the diversity angles covered, but also I think the key component this time around is going to be communication skills. Because you don't want, as we saw with Algabra, as we saw with Mendocino, they stumbled mainly because they couldn't defend their files effectively before the media and before Canadians.
They faltered, and that would be a huge liability going into an election. If you can't express yourself effectively and give, confidence to people that you know what you're doing and you can get the job done, forget it. I want to just tell you that when I saw that Stephen Guilbeault was speaking in Montreal today, of course, we put in a request to speak to him, which was very quickly declined, not knowing at that point that these meetings were going to be happening. So I'm out of time, but just quickly, David, tell me, what do you think is happening in those meetings that Trudeau's having with the cabinet ministers right now?
Well, first of all, I think there are finalized meetings. Are you running or not this next time around? And that's the first thing, because if you're not running, well, then you're out. Two, I think right now this is about making sure that there are no people that are slamming doors or refusing to be either demoted. These next 48 hours are about containing potential problems or people, throwing fits, basically. And so it's happened before.
I bet. I know you have.
I've really seen it where, some people just plain refuse their new assignment. And that threw the government in a tailspin. And you want to do this privately behind closed door and make sure that your team is united and ready to go, and that the malcontents are contained.
All right. I can't wait to talk to you after it happens. Thank you so much, David. I so appreciate your time.
Always a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you. You too. That is David HEURTEL, former Quebec Liberal Cabinet Minister, political analyst, counsel at Fasken.